Hello, my name is Grace Shoemakers, and I'm the attorney at GP Shoemakers PLLC. And the main thing that we do here is trust, estate, probate, and family law planning. What I really want to talk about today is the 11 mistakes that maybe are lurking in your estate planning. And why do I want to do this? Is because I want to make sure that you leave a legacy of love instead of a legacy of confusion for your loved ones. So let's look at number one that I think people should pay a little bit more attention to. Part of this is, well, partly due to COVID, but it's generally a good idea to think about the 11 mistakes that other people make. The first one that I want to talk about is the lack of healthcare and disability planning. So the majority of our deaths occur in hospitals or other healthcare institutions. Sometimes patients are incapacitated or they can no longer communicate their health wishes. A way to solve this problem really is to get advance directives and healthcare power of attorneys, which can identify who you want to take medical decisions for you in case you can no longer do so. Um, the advanced directives, also the living will, deals with special wishes for end of life care, and they provide really a formal plan on how to control the financial and property matters as it relates to you and the type of care that you need to get. The second mistake, really, that I see is that people have no coherent estate plan, or by lack of better wording, they have no will. 70% of Americans today don't have a will. And from those 70, 50% don't even have an up to date will that will actually do what they think it needs to do when something happens to them. So if you have no plan, things will not go the way you want to do. Because if you don't properly plan, your estate will probably be tied up in probate for a while. And when I say for a while, I'm talking more than the typical uncontested process, which varies between 180 days and 1 year. So you can technically say your accounts will be frozen for a good amount of time. And if people are actually planning on having this money to live off, to pay rent, or even mortgages, you left them with a big pickle. So make sure that you have a plan. And what it will do is it will save your family not just the aggravation of having to go through a lengthy probate process, but it will give them the time to grieve instead of coming at a greater emotional and financial cost to your family. So having an estate plan really is more about the security that we provide to our loved ones than it really is for ourselves, because I mean, we're going to use it when we're dead. Um, the third problem that we see is when we do estate planning is that people forget to plan for their digital assets. Right now, we live in a society where much of our lives is online, or, well, a lot of people do it anyway. So if you have no plan for your digital assets, and what I mean with digital assets is really your social media accounts, any online accounts like the cloud where you save your pictures, or anything else that you value and don't want to get lost, make sure that someone has access to it. Because anything online, your critical documents, your photos, your memories, even your family records, if no one has access to them, they will pretty much be lost. And I don't think that that's the purpose that we set out to. But if we don't put any attention in our plan for the future, our loved ones want to be able to access it, because sometimes, or most of the times, passwords need a double verification. If they don't have the password to get to the other password, it gets a mess. Even with password helpers, make sure people can access your computer. The other thing that people tend to forget when they do their estate plan is they forget to put any attention to the future that our children might have. And what I mean with this is are they potentially in a situation where a divorce can happen? And I don't say this in a negative way, but the divorce numbers are like 1 out of 2 couples will eventually get a divorce. Sometimes people get remarried and have a divorce again. And the way we deal with our assets during a divorce will tell us where we'll go. So if you don't make special qualifiers in there, and if children commingle funds, the stuff that we left to them upon our death might go to the future ex-spouse, and I don't think people like that. The other thing that we need to think about is what happens if our children have a lawsuit against them. Will these assets be put at risk? Can somebody like a creditor reach the inheritance that we leave them, or do we rather protect them? Do we think about children that have gambling or drug problems, or even special needs? These are all little things that we need to think about when we think about leaving stuff or a substantial inheritance to our children. Um, Number 5 is also a lack of attention of family values. So an estate plan really should not just cover the monetary aspects. It should include um, the things that we find important, the things that we want our children to focus on. For example, is education important? Is arts important? Do we value travel, or is there anything else like a family um, tradition that we want to keep in place? And is there any money that we want to set aside for this? The sixth problem that we see in a list of mistakes is that IRA funds go wasted. A lot of retirement accounts are paid um, to the next heirs in a lump sum situation, which means that there will be taxes involved in this, and this might not be something that you want. So I would say sit down with an estate attorney and talk about the tax consequences that an IRA inheritance can have and how to offset them. The other thing that I think number 7 on our list is chaotic record keeping. So a lot of people know where their stuff is, but we don't really are organized. We don't have a spreadsheet. It's all in our head. But what happens if our head gives out? Um, how are our power of attorneys or how are children or executor going to find their stuff? So good record planning really is essential to make sure that your heirs do not spend months or years even trying to find out what you have. Um, I would recommend having a little spreadsheet or having an attorney who has a copy of these things. If you don't keep a record of it and assets get lost, they will go to the Texas Department of Unclaimed Property. Um, this is not technically something you want to have happen. So make sure that really you create an estate plan and that you are actually organized. The other thing is where we have spouses that survive, and this is number 8. Our spouses might have creditors, or there might people be out there trying to separate them from their money and their inheritance. Um, for example, this happens when we have second marriages or when people go through the probate procedure and everything's public and it's online and people go through the records to see where they can get their next big scam out. And this is not me just being cynical. This is actually what happens. Um, so make sure that you have a plan, that you make sure that you know what happens with the legacy. Make sure that there's a trust when people are in a situation where they might not be able to take care of their own affairs. Um, Number 9 really is family feuds over sentimental items, and these are heirlooms. Make sure that you leave a personal property memorandum, or that you distinguish special heirlooms in your will that goes to a certain person. Because if you just leave it up to the heirs to get and be in agreement, it might not be what you want. I had 2 sisters that fought over a spoon that they made soup with grandma during the holidays. They didn't care about the cost of an attorney, and you know they spent a lot of money on just getting this particular little, it's not a good situation. Also make sure that you have a HIPAA release, and preferably one that survives your death by a year or two, so that people can get that second opinion if they question your death or the autopsy. Um, and make sure if you have an estate plan, really, which is number 11, make sure you update it, because you should update your estate plan every 3 to 5 years, or even sooner if you get married, if you get divorced, if you have a baby, if you adopt someone. I mean, occasions where in your life's dynamics changes when you move states. These are really good examples on when you should change your will. Um, this is just a short list of 11 big mistakes that we usually see. They're easily to fix. I would say have these conversations with your family, have these conversations with your spouse, or even just with anyone that you like to bounce ideas off, and talk to an estate planning attorney, because we see these things all the time and we can help you make informed decisions. If you want to know more, you can contact me at 832-408 or 505. Also, I encourage everybody to read our blogs. There's a lot of information about estate planning on there. And that's pretty much it for today. I wish everybody a great day, and until next time.